Dormitory downstairs. I confessed my feelings to Willow with deep affection. But she turned around and threw herself into the arms of a rich, handsome guy. The onlookers started chanting. Kiss, kiss. Willow finally got rid of that pathetic simp. Exactly. Be a simp long enough and you really become a dog. Amid their laughter, I put away the carefully prepared gift and turned to leave. They were betting on when I would come crawling back. Willow scoffed carelessly. 3 days at most. However, before a day even passed, Willow stormed up to me at the door with a photo in hand. Furious, she protested angrily. Do you have no shame? You actually simped for 2 people at the same time. I was speechless. If I said I was simping for 4 people at the same time, so what? Chapter 1. Downstairs at the dormitory, Willow lifted her eyes to look at me, the disdain in them almost solid enough to take shape. Holding the gift in my hand, I quickened my steps, trying to say the words I had rehearsed countless times in my head. Willow, however, before I could finish, Willow let out a scoffing laugh. She turned around and threw herself into the arms of the rich second-generation guy who had been attentively delivering meals to her every day. Amid the surrounding crowd's catcalls and cheers, she deliberately stood on tiptoe and kissed him right in front of me. A girl exclaimed in surprise. Wow, Willow is so straightforward. Another girl sneered. This is exactly how you show a simp who the real boyfriend is. This is such a face-slapping wish fulfillment scene. I'm loving it. I've disliked George for a long time already. Damn simp. Clinging to Willow every day, so annoying. Makoto affectionately kissed Willow on the forehead, then walked over to me with a look of feigned apology. I'm sorry, I didn't know how to, he said. Before he could finish, a girl cut him off. Makoto, why are you apologizing? You and Willow like each other. Some simps have no say in this. Others joined in with mocking laughter. Exactly, the simp is still standing right here, doesn't he have any shame? I let out a self-mocking smile, carefully put the gift away, and turned to leave. Faintly, I heard the voice of Willow's best friend from behind. He's been simping for you for so long, you really never felt anything at all. Willow snorted with a laugh. You like him? Maria waved her hands quickly, as if, how could I ever like a simp? After that, she started gossiping with the others again. Take a guess. Everyone, how long do you think George will take to come crawling back this time? Someone said. I bet 1 week. Another added. Are you crazy? Even a simp has dignity. I bet 2 weeks. And you, Willow? Someone asked. Willow replied indifferently. At most, 3 days. Chapter 2. Back in the dorm, I carefully placed the gift I had originally planned to give Willow into the cabinet. A familiar electronic voice sounded in my head. Why didn't you throw it away? My fingers tapped rapidly on the screen while replying to 0115 in passing. I said. She doesn't want it, but I can still give it to someone else. 0115 froze for a moment before suddenly understanding. Efficient reuse of resources. That's you. All right. On my phone, there were also my second goddess, Sophia, my third goddess, Freya, and my fourth goddess, Alicia. These days, being a simp isn't easy. Even gifts have to be carefully budgeted and reused. My phone chimed several more times. Sophia dumb bitch messaged. Get your ass over here tonight, now. Freya dumb as a pig sent. You lying, money swindling, body cheating scumbag. After coaxing each of them in turn, I collapsed onto the bed. The system quietly compiled data in the background. There is no longer any simp index to be extracted from Willow. I scrolled through my phone and casually blocked and deleted Willow. Perfect. 1 target wrapped. Chapter 3. I died suddenly in my original world from getting too excited while reading pornographic novels. While my soul was drifting away, I got bound to a system called Simp Index Collection. Yes, that was 0115. 0115 said it had just been created and didn't have much energy, so it could only bind to a host on the spot. The Simp Index energy I completed could bring me back to life, and the Simp Index one farmed could also be exchanged for real-world money. So for the past 3 years, I'd been diligently working as a simp, until today. When I finally graduated from Willow, I looked at the Simp Index 0115 had converted from all these years and couldn't help laughing out loud. This simp life was worth it. No stealing, no robbing, straight up getting rich. He, the system said. My energy is almost fully charged too. Host, your efficiency is impressive. I made an okay gesture and replied. Professional simp, fast and reliable. Chapter 4. One by one, people started returning to the dorm. Among them was the roommate who had just backed Makoto earlier. The moment he walked in, he started mocking me. Did you guys see that earlier? Gotta hand it to Makoto. Classic tall, rich, and handsome. Way better than some broke-ass loser simps. You've been simping for years and still got nothing. You didn't seriously think Willow would ever be into you, right? The other 2 roommates seemed uncomfortable and quietly signaled Martin to stop talking. I laughed. Seeing Martin's smug face, I snapped back immediately. Oh, give me a break. Who the hell are you showing off for? Anyone who didn't know better would think you were the one who landed Willow. What are you? A widowed old man with nothing better to do, always sticking your nose into other people's business. And look at how stupid you looked earlier. Your eyes were practically glued to Willow's face. You really think no one noticed you like her? Don't mock simps. Helping your buddy chase your own goddess. What kind of pathetic fetish is that? Martin clearly hadn't expected someone as meek as me to talk back. He froze on the spot. A real simp is polite to outsiders. I used to play the coward. Don't think that means I actually am one. I'm naturally mild-mannered and don't like cursing. Anyone I bother to curse at is someone who clearly enjoys being cursed. Working a crappy job is already annoying enough. There's always some dumb pig around trying to add to my workload. The two other roommates turned away, barely holding back their laughter when they saw Martin get shut down. This guy usually threw his weight around just because Makoto was the principal's son. Martin flew into a rage, clearly struck at the heart, and started blurting nonsense. Bullshit. How could I ever have designs on Makoto's girlfriend? I let out a cold laugh. With a brain like yours, even a dung beetle would stop and push. After saying that, I grabbed the gift and gestured to the other roommates, signaling them not to leave the door open for me. Martin's voice, thick with resentment, came from behind. Can't get Willow, so now you're probably off to simp for someone else. A simp will always be a simp. No need to waste words on idiots like that. But he wasn't wrong. I really was going to simp for the next one. Simp long enough, and you'll eventually get everything. Chapter 5. I arrived at the banquet hall. Inside, it was packed with influential figures, people with status and connections everywhere. I had deliberately splurged on a new outfit just for today. I went to the restroom to tidy my hair and wipe my glasses. The only reason I managed to simp my way into the good graces of the rich cougar Sophia was purely because I happened to look like her first love. Bodhisattva bless me. And heartfelt thanks to that ex. I scanned the hall for Sophia Kim. Before I could find her, I spotted my third goddess instead, Freya Mu, the eldest princess of the Mu family. I hurriedly ducked into a crowded corner to hide. Holy hell, I was sweating bullets. I had almost forgotten, the Kim family and the Mu family were sworn business rivals. Every major event, both families always showed up. Logically speaking, sworn rivals should be a, if you're here, I'm not kind of deal, right? With my poor person brain, I really couldn't understand it. Hiding was the correct choice. Suddenly, Freya's gaze swept in my direction. I turned my head away and closed my eyes. I hoped that for these few seconds, Freya would suddenly go blind. Luckily, she seemed to just glance this way casually before turning her head back. Then my phone chimed. Freya dumb as a pig messaged. Scumbag, say something. I looked up and saw that Freya had rejected invitations from several gentlemen. I typed back, what's up? She replied instantly, come over now. I'll have someone pick you up. That wasn't a question, it was an order. Thanks, but no. I'm literally sitting on the sofa right next to you. With trembling fingers, I typed, my stomach hurts today. I'm in the dorm. Shiba Inu crying. JPG. The moment I sent it, a shadow fell in front of me. Startled, my hand shook and I immediately locked my phone. When I looked up, I realized it was Sophia. Still that unmistakably expensive face. I looked at her with focused, heartfelt intensity, putting on an expression of someone utterly captivated, and said, you look beautiful today. This approach worked well on Sophia. She seemed pleased and, for once, spoke gently to me. She snorted softly and asked, you don't look well. Feeling unwell? I didn't even need a mirror to know my face must be pale as hell. Sophia standing here drew a lot of attention, and I was genuinely afraid Freya might notice. The system's energy still wasn't enough yet. If these people found out, well, maybe it wouldn't matter that much. A small fry like me was ultimately expendable to them, optional at best. Even if I were exposed, it'd just be everyone going their separate ways. Sigh. Still, I'd rather be discovered later. I want to grind a few more coins first. Chapter 6. By the time I left with Sophia, Freya was already gone. After eating and drinking my fill, I claimed I wasn't feeling well and needed to leave early. Seeing that I'd behaved myself today, Sophia agreed and let me go. I hadn't even made it back to the dorm when Freya's call came in. She asked, at school, I'm coming to find you. I had just said, okay, when she hung up. Luckily, I knew Freya's temperament well. If I didn't go with her to the banquet, she would definitely come looking for me. Lately, I'd been spending more time simping for others and had somewhat neglected Freya. Her simp index in the back end had fallen far behind the others. Freya's car arrived quickly. She had the driver stop, then snapped at me irritably. Get in. The moment I got into the car, I took out the second-hand gift. I'd originally planned to give it to Willow, then thought about giving it to Sophia, but I forgot. Now, giving it to Freya was just right. I grinned as I took out the neatly wrapped gift. Baby, this is for you, I said. I spent a long time picking it out. Freya casually took the box, opened it, and rolled her eyes. All the money I usually give you, and this is what you use to brush me off. Damn it, be grateful you even got something, and you're still being picky. I took out the bracelet and put it on her wrist, my eyes lighting up as if amazed. I said it the moment I bought it, you definitely look good wearing it. Look. I raised her hand so she could see. The system's trembling voice sounded in my head. Host, you really lie without even blinking. Of course I do. At a moment like this, even the slightest wrong look and I'd be dead on the spot. Freya didn't look at the bracelet at all. She stared at me with resentful eyes. The fact that it was second-hand jewelry did make me feel a little guilty. I glanced around awkwardly and said, "What? Touched by me? Wait a sec, I'll go order a ring right now and propose to you." The moment she saw me open the Pinduoduo app, the air around Freya instantly turned icy. She turned her head away and let out a cold snort. That snort said everything she wanted to say. It meant, "You're not worthy." I slowly wiped the smile off my face and turned my head, staring blankly out the window. My mind was completely on the simp index in the background. It was skyrocketing all the way. All money. All money. Chapter 7. Freya had the classic heroine syndrome, dramatic, delicate, and spoiled. She never lifted a finger to do chores and was extremely picky about food. There was no way I could cook, not even a little, so I secretly had the system order pre-made meals for me, and yet Freya still ate with obvious enjoyment. Nighttime was a bit more troublesome. Freya was a clean freak. Every time, she insisted that I shower in her bathroom before I was allowed to get into bed. I had an 8 a.m. class the next morning. When I woke up, Freya was still asleep. Once again, I had the system order pre-made food to be delivered. I even slipped a small note full of cheesy love lines under the plate. Got a cash in on that post-sleep return at school. By the time I took a cab to campus, class was about to start. I quickly sent a good morning to my fourth goddess, then started climbing the stairs. There were barely any people around. Those without classes were still sleeping. Those with classes were already seated in classrooms. I slipped into the classroom right on time, but the professor's lecture quickly made me drowsy. Every time I slept in the same bed as Freya, I never slept well. It was like having my life force drained. Half asleep, I chatted with Alicia. Alicia happened to be a female professor at this university, 28 years old, young and beautiful, you could say. She also had class today, just in a different building. We'd agreed to have lunch together at noon. Originally, Wednesdays were supposed to be for eating with Willow, but yesterday, Target no one wrapped, so no more worrying about time allocation. Alicia told me to wait for her in the classroom after class. I packed up slowly. Everyone else rushed off to eat, and soon I was the only one left. Just as I stepped out of the classroom, a slender figure appeared in front of me. She suddenly rushed toward me and grabbed my arm tightly. Caught off guard, I was knocked back several steps. When I came to my senses, I realized it was Willow. Her eyes were red, her gaze full of fury. "You blocked me, and went off to simp for someone else." I scratched my head and laughed it off. "What are you talking about?" She pulled out a photo from her bag, biting her lip as she said, "I didn't go to the banquet yesterday. Guess I missed a great show." I focused my eyes, and my vision went dark. In the photo was me, standing beside Sophia at the banquet. At that moment, Willow looked like a cat with its fur standing on end, screaming hysterically, "You bastard. Is it fun simping for two women at the same time?" At the same time, the back door was pushed open. Alicia's figure appeared in the doorway. She smiled lightly and said, "What's going on? Sounds lively. Whether it's fun or not, I don't know. All I know is, you're all about to ruin me." Chapter 8. I swallowed unconsciously, forcing down the urge to run. I knew things might blow up someday. I just didn't expect that day to come so fast. My eyes darted between Willow and Alicia. Since there was no simp index left to farm from Willow anyway, I shoved her aside and turned toward Alicia, explaining, "I'm not close with her," which was true enough. I'd simped for Willow for so many years that no matter what I did, she treated me like I was invisible. When she was in a bad mood, she'd coldly watch her friends mock me. When I brought her water, she'd take it, twist the cap open, and pour it straight onto the ground. When she didn't need anything, she never thought of me. But whenever there was physical labor, suddenly I was indispensable. Back when I still wasn't a master of time management, Willow once called me out. She claimed she wanted to hang out together, but in reality, she just needed me to deliver an umbrella. Delivering the umbrella would have been fine, except that damn woman snatched my umbrella and left me to walk home in the rain myself. The next day, I had a terrible cold, yet I still had to grit my teeth and go to work, continuing my life as a simp. The only consolation was that the simp index from that round had been pretty substantial. Chapter 9. Alicia glanced at me lightly. I couldn't read the emotion in her eyes, and I had no idea whether she believed me or not. But I wasn't worried about Willow exposing me. With her spoiled rich girl temperament, she never wanted anything to do with me in the first place. Now that I'd flat out denied knowing her, the emotional whiplash alone would be enough to make her storm off. Sure enough, the moment Willow heard what I said, her face fell. A storm churned in her eyes. She snorted coldly, "TCH, like I even know him." With that, she kicked the door hard and stormed off in a fury. Once she was gone, I finally let out a sigh of relief. I wrapped an arm around Alicia's waist and said affectionately, "Wife, why did you come so late? I've been waiting forever." Alicia turned around instead, staring straight at me. "TCH, don't tell me she didn't buy it." I took a step forward, trying to pull her into a hug. As expected, I was pushed away. A look of disgust appeared on Alicia's face. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a pack of wet wipes, and thoroughly wiped the spot where Willow had grabbed me, over and over again. Then she stood on tiptoe and lightly kissed me. After that, she took out another wipe and carefully cleaned the spot on my lips she'd just kissed. All right, fine. Even though she didn't say a word, I still felt completely scolded. Alicia had a serious case of dual personalities. The current version of her was cool, restrained, and had an extreme obsession with cleanliness. But once night fell, she became someone else entirely. Passionate, uninhibited, maximum contrast. One night, it was past 8 and I was still at Alicia's place. That was when I personally witnessed her second personality. To be honest, not only was I shocked, the system was so stunned it couldn't even speak. At night, Alicia seemed to lose that damned cleanliness obsession altogether. She sucked my fingers into her mouth. After she was satisfied, she changed into a different battle outfit, straddled me, and then just held me while sleeping. The contrast was so overwhelming that I lay there wide awake until midnight. Yet nothing happened all night. After that, I never brought up that night to Alicia, and she seemed to have no memory of it either. I smiled and raised both hands in surrender. All right, it's clean enough. Let's go eat. Chapter 10. I had lunch with Alicia and farmed quite a bit more simp index. After that, I decided to give myself a small break for the day. None of my dorm mates had classes. Those dating went on dates. Those working went to work. Martin, as usual, finished a round of sarcastic mockery before heading out too. I lay on my bed watching videos with the system. The system said excitedly, "This one is really good." I rolled over, unplugged the charger, and turned on Do Not Disturb. "How good?" I asked. The system was clearly hyped up, which immediately gave me a bad feeling. I asked suspiciously, "It's not another my wife scammed me out of my entire fortune. I reincarnate and reclaim everything kind of story, right?" No. The system's electronic voice suddenly turned serious. "This one actually has depth." I stared unblinkingly at the video the system projected. Let's see just how much depth it has. The background music started, and a line of blue and white text appeared on the screen. "Hardcore love rival. My girlfriend fell in love with my family's rice cooker." My eyes lit up instantly. "Oh, I like this one," I said. The system's proud voice followed. "See, I knew it." I hadn't even finished one episode when there was a knock on the dorm door. Did someone forget their keys? I jumped out of bed and opened the door. Standing outside was Makoto. I frowned. "What do you want?" Makoto slammed his shoulder into mine. Barging straight into the room, he threw a wad of cash onto the table and declared arrogantly, "This money is yours. Everything you have is mine now." The next second, without another word, he kicked over my chair, grabbed my laptop, and raised it to smash it on the floor. Holy shit. I grabbed his wrist, yanked the laptop back, spun around, and slapped him hard across the face. "Are you sick?" I snapped. "Then go get treatment. Don't come here acting like a lunatic." Makoto glared at me with clenched teeth. "Why the hell aren't you dead yet?" I laughed. Funny thing to say, no matter what. I'm living long enough to see the day you're shitting in the streets. Makoto completely lost it. He yelled. That day, we were so close. Willow was just about to agree. "This is all because of you, you bastard." With that, he swung his fist at me, and got kicked away by me in one move. I laughed. "Wait, what? You two were already making out in public and she still didn't say yes? What kind of deranged man and woman combo is that? You two are honestly a perfect match." Makoto froze for a second, unable to refute it. The next moment, he suddenly staggered and fell to the ground. What? Does this guy's reaction time come with lag? I slowly turned around. Sure enough, Willow was standing behind me. I might have been the one who hit him, but this acting was way too fake. Willow looked at Makoto. In silence, he struggled to his feet, then he left without looking back, utterly disgraced. What the hell was that about? I turned to the person who absolutely should not have been here and asked, "What's your deal? Sneaking past the dorm supervisor just to make such a big scene?" That sentence seemed to hit Willow right in the chest. She coughed twice. She said, I came to find you. Of course I have a reason. I'm not exaggerating. Every time she comes looking for me, it's always to mess with my life. The air around Willow felt subtly tense as she asked, "Why haven't you come looking for me lately? If I can't farm simp index from you anymore, why would I? I'm not a simp for real." I sat down on the chair, planning to clear things up quickly so she wouldn't interfere with me simping for others anymore. I said, "You already have a boyfriend. Why would I still simp for you?" Willow frowned. "What do you mean I can't if I have a boyfriend?" She suddenly realized what she was saying, stumbled over her words, and took a few steps toward me. "No, that's not it. I don't." That day, I didn't actually kiss him. She rarely explained herself, yet now Willow looked genuinely aggrieved. I nodded. Oh. She clearly hadn't expected my reaction to be so flat. Looking flustered, she began testing the waters. She said, "Then that photo from that day, it wasn't you, right? And that woman." I raised one finger and cut her off. "That was me. You didn't see wrong." I almost wanted to laugh. I finally understood why I couldn't farm any simp index from Willow anymore. It was because Willow had caught feelings. In our line of work, farming simp index, the biggest taboo is the goddess falling in love, because once the system determines mutual feelings, the numbers stop counting. I said, "I don't know whether you and Makoto are together or not, and I don't want to know." "Willow, I liked you for 3 years. I'm really tired. I tried to squeeze into your circle. I tried to please your best friends, but they always looked down on me and found me annoying. Do you know why? It's because you allowed it. They belittled me and mocked me because they were just echoing your attitude. Deep down, you believed that since I was the one chasing you, everything I did was only natural. And since I was your simp, how could I possibly leave you? So you thought it didn't matter how you treated me." For the first time, Willow was left completely speechless. I was about to improvise a little more, but the dorm door was pushed open again. A graceful female figure stepped in, wrapped in sunlight, her face indistinct. Dust motes floated quietly in the air. Then a familiar voice called my name. "George." No emotion, no rise or fall in tone. Shit. This is the prelude to Sophia being pissed. I looked again at Willow, who had just realized everything. Yeah, this ride had definitely flipped. Sophia walked over with a dark expression and grabbed my arm hard. At the same time, Willow reacted fast and grabbed my other arm. "No, wait. This is a men's dorm. Do women just casually walk into guys' dorms now?" I weakly raised a hand. "How about you both let me explain first?" Chapter 11. In the end, the explanation never actually happened. The three of us ended up dragging and pulling each other out of the dorm. By the time we reached downstairs, the old guard at the entrance saw me looking like I had one woman on each arm. His eyes practically popped out. Then he got it, and even secretly gave me a thumbs up. "Sir, what exactly do you think is going on here?" Sophia got into the car with me. Willow followed right after. Seeing this, Sophia said coldly, "Get out." Willow didn't back down either. "Wherever my boyfriend is, that's where I am." Sophia looked at me, her gaze icy. "Boyfriend? Nope, absolutely not. I am not taking that blame." I hurried to explain. "I'm not her boyfriend. Seeing her now is like seeing the plague." Willow finally snapped when she heard herself compared to the plague. She bit her lip and said, "Say that again if you dare." I immediately lowered my head like a coward. "All right, fine. Both of you teaming up to bully one honest man. Huh?" The silence in the car was so oppressive I felt like I could hear my own execution countdown. After turning off Do Not Disturb on my phone, I realized Sophia had already called me once and sent a message. At the same time, I noticed something terrifying. With these two sitting together, I couldn't farm any simp index at all. 2 massive zeros hung in the back end. I hurriedly pinged the system. "System, what's going on? Why can't I even farm Sophia's value anymore?" The system ran a quick check. "I've looked over the back-end data. Everything seems normal, unless Sophia too. Impossible. Sophia has her own first love in this world." When we arrived at the Villa District, I finally realized Willow also lived here. She didn't even list that in her profile. Wasn't she supposed to be just a campus belle type? I shrank into the car seat and played dead. Sophia knew my habits far too well. She said coldly, "Get out." I shuddered, then immediately scrambled out of the car. Chapter 12. So the current situation was this. Willow knew I hadn't only simped for her. There were 2 others out there. Sorry, actually. 4 in total. Heh. Willow was so furious she started pacing in place. I sat on the sofa watching her walk back and forth, utterly confused. "Why are you even mad? Back when I was simping for you, you didn't like it anyway." Since I couldn't farm Sophia's simp index anymore either, I decided to go full screw it mode in front of both of them. Sophia brought over a plate of cut fruit. I reached out to grab some, but my hand was stopped halfway. Sophia frowned. "Wipe your hands." That familiar wet wipe again. Sophia looked far calmer than Willow. That reassured me a little. Worst case scenario. It's just bridge goes back to bridge. Road goes back to road. The only reason I could even simp for Sophia in the first place was because I looked like her first love. Who in their right mind would give up a pearl for a piece of fisheye? Still, losing 2 farming targets in 2 days hurt like hell. My heart ached. While eating fruit, I noticed the 2 women sitting not far away, seemingly discussing something. The system said. They're probably uncomfortable knowing they were simped for by the same guy. So now they're agreeing not to let the other one spread what happened today. After finishing the last slice of apple, I clapped my hands and stood up. There shouldn't be anything left for me to do here. I had originally been worried they might team up and have someone deal with me. After all, I knew the Kim family's methods. If they didn't kill me, I'd at least be skinned alive. Thankfully, they were both well-educated, refined people. They didn't resort to anything that brutal. Still, for some reason, I felt uneasy. While the 2 of them were still talking, I quietly edged toward the front door. I pressed my fingerprint onto the handle to unlock it. Suddenly, several alarm sounds blared. The noise immediately caught the attention of the 2 women behind me. Willow hurried over and grabbed my arm. "What are you doing?" I let out an awkward laugh. "If I said I just wanted to go out for a walk, would you believe me?" Sophia snorted coldly. "Scared?" "I fear nothing, especially not questioning." I looked at Sophia with a lazy grin. "Since everything's out in the open, I'll head back first." I turned, ready to leave. Sophia's cold voice froze me in place. "Don't want your legs anymore." Wait, how did this suddenly switch to a crime drama? Willow frowned in disagreement. "Sophia, don't be like that." Sophia walked toward me, casually brushing a few loose strands of hair behind her ear. Some people won't behave unless they're taught a lesson. My breath caught. The system screamed in my head. Whoa, simp index just turned into corruption value. Huh? What the hell is that? I'm not covering performance metrics for another department. Willow seemed to take Sophia's words to heart and nodded in agreement. "You're right. I'm this dishonest. Who's to say there aren't others besides us?" "Oh fuck. Please don't let this flip any further." Willow tapped her cheek with a finger, as if suddenly remembering something. "That day, the one with..." I immediately covered her mouth. I was just asking the professor about a problem that day. With just one Sophia already talking about breaking my legs. If they found out there were 2 more, I'd be dead for sure. Willow calmly nodded and didn't say anything else. After that, the 2 of them seemed to reach some kind of agreement. On the surface, it still looked like mutual dislike, but something felt different. I cautiously asked the system, "Are we close to full energy yet? I seriously feel like I can't hold this together anymore." Before things blew up, I thought I was an invincible war god. Now that I was actually here, I was scared half to death. The system replied, 10% left. On the other side, the 2 women seemed to hear something. A cold, ominous glint flashed through their eyes. Chapter 13. Because those 2 toxic women were watching me way too closely. On campus, Willow followed me around every single day. Off campus, the 2 of them guarded me together. As a result, I hadn't seen Alicia for many days now. She didn't like chatting on the phone. And Freya, I didn't know what was going on with her either. She seemed busy these past few days, disappearing after just a few messages. I put my phone down in the restroom and let out a long sigh. Is there any chance we can still go back? This situation felt dangerously close to collapsing. The system was still trying to cheer me on. Hang in there, host. I really didn't expect Willow and Sophia to become allies over something like this. Add even 1 more person and we're completely done for. I listlessly echoed. Yeah, 1 more and we'd be. Wait. I have a great idea. Sharing me was probably the last concession they were willing to make. So what if, right now, another person suddenly showed up? As long as I break this deadlocked situation and rush to farm that remaining 10%. Then even if something gets exposed, it won't matter. I'll just bounce immediately. Every day felt like living under surveillance. Willow's best friend almost thought she'd been possessed. Back then, I was the one constantly circling Willow. Now it was the opposite. Wherever I went, she followed. And she even looked blissfully happy about it. Full-on love brain mode. Maria leaned over and asked, "Aren't you with Makoto now?" How to trigger a campus bell in 1 sentence. Willow snapped instantly. "What are you talking about? Makoto and I are completely innocent." After saying that, she turned around to check my expression. "Why are you looking at me?" Too lazy to snap back. I couldn't farm money anymore. And now there was this weird corruption value thing too. This didn't feel like something the simp division was equipped to handle at all. I took the water Willow carefully handed me and drank a sip helplessly. When is this life ever going to end? Chapter 14. Freya finally replied to my message. She asked, "Where are you?" Perfect timing, just when I was dozing off. Someone handed me a pillow. Sophia Kim had gone back to the Kim family home that morning. Willow had stepped out to take a phone call. The moment I got Freya's message, I bolted straight for the school gate. Freya was already waiting there. In the car, I thoughtfully fastened her seatbelt for her, then took the opportunity to pull her into a hug. That single hug instantly cracked the cool, aloof expression on Freya's face. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, pulled out disinfectant spray, and aggressively sprayed herself, and conveniently sprayed my face too. Watching the back-end numbers shoot up, my heart bloomed with joy. At critical moments, it really has to be you, my germaphobe old baby. Along the way, I kept holding her hand, then casually touching her thigh. The system's progress bar dropped to just 5% remaining. After that, no matter how shameless I acted, the energy didn't increase anymore. Instead, the simp index kept rising. Could it be that the system's energy extraction had to come from different people? Before I could figure it out, Willow's call came in. She asked, "Where are you?" I pretended to stay calm. "Who do you think you are? Why would I need to report my whereabouts to you?" Truth be told, I wasn't afraid of Willow. However, the very next second, Sophia's voice came through the phone, mixed with faint static. She said, "Where are you?" Not a question, an interrogation. Damn it. So spineless. I'm pathetic. I hung up the phone with a calm face. Freya looked puzzled. "What's wrong?" I shook my head. Then, right before my impending doom, I delivered a legendary money farming line. "Freya, when the day comes that you're tired of playing around and don't want to anymore, come back and find me. This promise never expires." Such a brain-dead, peak simp line. Flawless. As expected, Freya laughed, though the smile never reached her eyes. "What? You're going to wait for me forever? You want me to marry you?" I looked at her with utmost devotion. She scoffed. "Don't flatter yourself. How could I ever marry you? Do you think you're worthy?" I nodded. "I know. Freya, you deserve better. When you meet someone you want to marry someday, just tell me. I'll quietly step aside." Hearing that, Freya shook her head. "Even if I get married in the future, it wouldn't stop us from dating. Whoever invented Freya is a damn genius when it comes to making someone act like a dog. She's truly a master." Chapter 15. Freya suddenly received a phone call. The car stopped on the side of the road, and, just as expected, Willow and Sophia rushed over. Freya looked displeased as she stared at Sophia. "What did you mean by what you just said?" Sophia let out a cold snort. "What do you think I meant? You didn't seriously believe George actually likes you, did you?" Freya frowned and looked at me, as if trying to confirm something. Willow, as if she'd seen something utterly ridiculous, said, "Don't look at him. What kind of truth do you expect from a heartless scumbag?" The moment Freya and Sophia locked eyes, the air around them turned icy. Freya didn't say a word. Her gaze slid off me, as though looking at me for even one more second would dirty her eyes. I watched helplessly as she got back into the car, only to slam the door open and step out again a second later. Freya asked, "You two met him back in freshman year, didn't you?" It was as if she'd suddenly figured something out. Sophia cut her off immediately. "So what if you've known him longer? What does that prove?" Freya tilted her head and let out a few soft laughs. "Knowing him longer doesn't mean anything, but he's told me more than once that he loves me." Oh my god, what kind of hellish Azura battlefield is this? Freya usually didn't think like this at all. I tapped the system in my head. "This situation is kind of falling apart," the system replied. "I don't understand it either, but I do know this: if the three of them can't reach an agreement, host, you'll have a chance to fill the energy bar, then we can leave." Stirring the pot was my specialty, I said. "If the fire's not hot enough, I'll just add more fuel." The system felt a chill down its spine. "Take it easy. Don't forget there's still that corruption value." No need to worry. That corruption value probably belongs to some other department's KPI after I leave. No matter how I looked at it, it had nothing to do with me. I stood there, face pale as a sheet. Willow was the first to notice something was wrong. She rushed over and asked worriedly, "George, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" I staggered a few steps toward the car door and shook my head silently. Willow helped me into the car. Then she turned back toward the other two and said coldly, "The three of us have no right to criticize each other. Who was the one who treated him well from the very beginning? And now you're competing over that. It's disgusting." The other two clearly hadn't expected Willow to snap at them like that. They could only watch as we drove away. The car stopped at the school gate. Just as I was about to get out, Willow stopped me. She pressed her lips together and said, "I was wrong before. I can make it up to you 1,000 times over, 10,000 times over, but I'll stay by your side until you're willing to forgive me." Listen to that. Does that even sound like something a normal person would say? I frowned and looked away. Willow grew dissatisfied and lifted her hand to force my face toward hers. "Look at me." "Fine. I'll look. I'll keep watching you, forever," she said. "I know I wronged you before. I'm willing to change." While Willow was still pouring out her heart, my phone suddenly rang. I said, "Okay, I agree. Willow's eyes lit up instantly. She shook my arm excitedly. Then it settled. You can't go back on it. Go back and rest first. The other two probably won't come bother you for the next few days. Yes. Yes. Hurry up and leave already. That's exactly what I'm waiting for. Don't waste time. She walked away, turning back every few steps. The moment she was gone, I immediately called Alicia back. All my hope was riding on her now. My job only allows me to farm simp index from the female lead and female supporting characters of this small world. I'd tried farming other people before, completely useless. Not a single point. Bodhisattva bless me. Only 5% left. Please, don't let anything go wrong now. Chapter 16. After getting through to Alicia on the phone, I went straight to her apartment. The moment I pressed the doorbell, I heard a click, the door opened, and Alicia lunged at me instantly. Her arms wrapped around my neck as she dragged me straight into the apartment. Holy shit, was that a rear naked choke? She pushed me down onto the sofa in one smooth motion. Impatiently straddling me, she hugged my head tightly against her, soft warmth pressing close, leaving me almost unable to breathe. Alicia's seductive voice whispered into my ear, "You really aren't very well behaved, are you?" Don't tell me, even Alicia knows now. I trembled and tested the waters cautiously. I am well behaved. I eat well, sleep well. Alicia let out an unreadable chuckle. I said inwardly, "System, why do I feel like this Alicia is a bit off?" The Alicia from before always kept a certain distance. In daily interactions, she wasn't as dismissive of me as the other three, but there was always an indescribable sense of separation. There was only one explanation: Alicia's dual personality, a completely different existence from her usual self. I tried to push back a little. I was seriously running out of air. "Alicia," I said. The moment I spoke, she cut me off. "Shoo, don't talk." She pressed my head down, scorching heat brushing against my cheek. "What the hell? This is sick." The system's electronic voice rang out in confusion. "Huh? You clearly haven't even started yet, so why is my energy already full?" "Heaven truly doesn't block every path," I said immediately. "Then what are we waiting for? Let's leave, now." The coins had basically been farmed dry. I'd had enough enjoyment. There was no reason to stay anymore. A series of beeping sounds came from the system backend. The system said urgently, "What's going on? World exit request failed. The energy is clearly full. You can't drop the ball at a critical moment like this." The system kept frantically checking for errors. Meanwhile, I was barely holding things together with second personality Alicia. I tried to regain control. Calm down, calm down. Yandere character settings are not okay." She only escalated, her hands moving more insistently. She said, "You're not allowed to run." "I won't run. I won't run, just calm down first." I replied quickly. Why did Alicia's second personality come out before 8 o'clock this time? How long would it last? Could the failure to leave the world be related to this? The system said. There's no response from the main system. It's like it can't receive my signals at all. Don't do this to me. I was starting to panic. Alicia's consciousness seemed unstable. After coaxing her for a while, her head tilted, and she fell asleep. I finally let out a huge sigh of relief. Sitting up on the bed, I said, "This isn't workable at all. Did you find out what's going on?" The system replied miserably. "I don't know either. This is the first time something like this has happened. I'm asking the senior systems on the forum right now. There's even a forum." Damn, that's advanced. I gave up completely and flopped back onto the bed. Well, since things have come to this, let's sleep first. I gently pried Alicia's hand off me. After a whole day of mental gymnastics, I was truly exhausted. Chapter 17. The moment I opened my eyes the next morning, I knew something was wrong. I couldn't move my hands at all. When I lowered my head, shiny metal handcuffs were hanging right off my wrists. Alicia wasn't in bed. I stared at the cuffs and asked the system, "Can this thing be opened?" The system replied confidently, "Absolutely. As long as it can be opened, that's fine." Alicia was standing at the doorway, holding a bowl of something. I had no idea what it was. When she noticed I was awake, she walked over. She asked, "Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" "What an act," I asked back. "You're still Alicia's second personality, aren't you?" Alicia froze mid-scoop. "What personality?" I let out a scoffing laugh. "I don't know why you're locking me up. You've never liked me that much in the first place. So what exactly are you trying to pull now?" Alicia set the bowl aside and sighed. "I know you're tangled up with other people, but right now, you can only choose me." Hilarious. Every single one of them has said that. At this point, why don't the 5 of us just live together forever? Alicia's expression returned to that original cold detachment. She put the bowl down and left the room. The system's excited voice rang out in my head. A senior system left me a message. I asked quickly, "What did they say?" The system replied, "They said this situation is rare. But not unheard of. Something similar happened before. As long as the energy is full and the host encounters a life-threatening situation, I can force an emergency exit from the world, I immediately asked. Then the money I farmed, is it still there? The system answered decisively. Yes. Then we're good. Now the problem was, I'm locked in here. How am I supposed to create a life-threatening situation for myself? Just as I was brainstorming how to manufacture a near-death experience, a ready-made solution showed up on its own. From another perspective, though, lying in bed and living like a rice parasite is actually pretty nice. Food comes when I open my mouth. Whatever I want to eat, I get. There are games to play too. The only downside, I can't go outside. This is seriously a NEET trap. Once I break out of this world, I'm retiring on the spot, with all the coins I've farmed. I'm booking 10 young models right away. Chapter 18. One morning, on a day when I was just freeloading and waiting for death, someone came to the apartment. The system said it was one of Alicia's students. And here's the key point. This was not an ordinary student. This one was a deranged stalker. Pat deliberately chose a time when Alicia was out on business and quietly opened the apartment door. God knows where this bastard got her fingerprint data from. Through the system's screen, I watched how familiar Pat was with the place. He'd definitely been here plenty of times before, and Alicia never noticed even once. Pat crept into the bedroom. The moment he opened the door, he came face to face with me. I rattled the handcuffs, awkwardly rolled over a bit, and greeted him. Hey, yeah, that was awkward. Pat froze on the spot, but only for a second. The next moment, rage twisted his face. He roared. Who are you? Why are you lying on her bed? Dude, do you not see the handcuffs? I said awkwardly. If I told you Alicia locked me here herself, would you believe me? Pat's expression warped for a split second. He shook his head violently. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The goddess said she would never like anyone. You scumbag. You must have tricked her into bed. It has to be you. Pat grabbed me and yanked me straight off the bed. The other end of the handcuffs was locked to the headboard, and the chain between them was short. I got hauled up in an instant. The cuffs tightened violently, and I felt like my wrists were about to snap. Goddamn Alicia. She's insane, and so are her students. I lifted my head and forced a smile at Pat. The key's in the drawer on the far right. How about you unlock me? And I swear I'll never appear in front of Alicia again. Pat followed the direction I pointed and stood up. Alicia had put the key there right in front of me before. Pat brought the key over. He asked softly, if I let you go, will you really leave Alicia? Absolutely. I'd personally design my own exit. Everyone gets liberated. He moved the key toward the lock, then suddenly threw it away. What now? Another episode? He suddenly punched me hard in the face and shouted. You think I'd believe you? Scum like you, if I let you go. You'd definitely keep playing with Alicia and hurting her. Pat looked around wildly, tears welling in his eyes. By then, how heartbroken would Alicia be? Bro, if you've got something to say it properly. Don't just make things up in your head. He sprang to his feet briskly, crying and laughing at the same time. Thump, thump, thump. He ran downstairs and brought something back up. Gritting his teeth, he said, I know. I can't let Alicia be sad. So the only choice is to let you die. Damn lunatic. I screamed internally. System, can I disengage before I'm burned to death? The system said, in theory, no. You can only be forcibly disengaged once the life-threatening condition is met. Damn it. The system tilted its head and said, but it's fine. I can use my own points to reduce your pain. You'll die instantly. No sensation at all. Whoa. The system really is my good little baby. Pat didn't hesitate at all. He poured gasoline all over the floor beside the bed. Who knows where he hauled it up from downstairs. All the way to the doorway. This guy stood at the door downstairs and shouted, have a safe trip. Impressive. You didn't even spare your goddess's house. The instant the lighter hit the ground, flames raced along the gasoline trail and spread to my bedside. It ignited all at once. Thick black smoke billowed up wherever the flames licked past. The system was already on standby. Once the fire touched me, it would immediately force my death. The fire grew bigger and bigger. When I opened my eyes again, the fire had already been put out and hadn't harmed the neighboring residents. But Alicia's house was burned beyond recognition. Alicia stood outside, still looking calm. By the time Willow, Freya, and Sophia arrived, my body had already been taken away. Willow slapped Alicia hard across the face in rage. Blood trickled down from the corner of Alicia's mouth. Alicia didn't respond at all. Willow screamed shrilly. Why did you lock him inside the house? He's dead. He's dead. Do you hear me? I floated in the air. Only when she heard the word dead did Alicia slowly come back to herself. He's not dead, she said. I poked the 0115, who was watching with great interest, and said, let's go. Time to go home. The system asked in confusion. Not going to keep watching. I casually glanced downward and said, I've watched this for years. I'm sick of it. The system transformed into a glowing little bunny and floated around me. George, don't you feel a little reluctant to leave? She asked. I looked at it curiously and said, what kind of trashy short dramas have you been watching lately? She replied, none. I just mean, if you think like a human, you've stayed here for so many years, you should have developed some feelings. I shrugged. No, not even a trace of reluctance. In fact, I felt nothing but disgust. Chapter 19. After returning to the system transit station with the system, I felt like I had been completely reborn, because the mission had been completed almost perfectly. The simp index I'd farmed ranked first in the entire sector. I also received a whole bunch of extra rewards. Among them was a huge villa allocated by the system center for retired personnel. Now this was real bliss. I slept in the villa for 3 days and 3 nights straight. During that time, I ordered takeout for every single meal. One day, the door was knocked on. I slipped on my slippers and went to open it. Outside the door sat an adorably cute little girl, holding a small stool and wobbling crookedly as she sat there. She looked to be only about 1 year old. The moment she saw me, she pulled a slip of paper out of her pocket. I took it from her. The note was covered in messy, chicken scratch handwriting. I leaned in closer to read it. It said, George, I'm 0115. I've come to join you. I scooped her up in one motion and asked, what have you been eating? How are you this heavy? She babbled in protest, but not a single coherent sentence came out of her mouth. Seeing how anxious she looked, I leaned close to her ear and listened carefully. She said, they're coming to find you. Was this really not a ghost story? Calmly, I carried the system into the house. If they dare come looking for me, they'll all die by my hand. Pinching her chubby little cheeks, I said, you need a name. How about Anna? 0115 immediately raised her fist in protest. I pressed her tiny fist down and said, all right, I get it. Anna, you really like this name. Knock knock knock. The door was knocked on again. Did the takeout arrive this early? Holding Anna, I struggled to open the door. Several familiar figures were standing outside. I slammed the door shut without hesitation. Get lost.